Hi, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to resolve this problem. The garage door got stuck. The problem is as follows. The cable on the side, there are two cables that are connected to pulleys. They pull up the garage door, and what has happened is the one cable on the one side has come undone, and therefore the garage door is falling down at an angle and it actually is jammed. As you can see, the one side is lower than the other side.
I just want to summarize what we're doing in this repair. There is quite a lot of danger attached to working with garage doors. Now, as you can see, the cable has come off the pulley, and that is why the garage door is actually jammed. Now, if you look at your garage door, you might find one of these long springs. Now, sometimes this spring gets damaged and it just snaps, and you'll hear a big "gah!" And then the garage door, if it was open, it could just move downwards. And these garage doors, especially these wooden ones, are very heavy. People don't realize how heavy these garage doors are. So please be very careful. The repair has nothing to do with the spring. You can see that the spring is still intact. All that has happened is the cable on the side has come unraveled, and I'm going to demonstrate how to rewire that. Now, the second warning, and I know I'm being pedantic about this, but you do these things at your own risk. Now, you see there's two pulleys, they're on the left and the right. Now, the one is become loose in terms of the cable. That means that that spring in the middle is being completely held in place by the pulley on the other side. So if you think you're just going to loosen the pulley on the other side, that pulley is going to unravel at such a rate you can actually lose part of a finger. I have met people who have lost a thumb and so forth working on these springs. So keep in mind that it's still under tension, and that is why I'm working on one pulley only.
Now, on the side of the door, there's this cable, and this cable is connected to this pin over here. And what has happened is this cable has come loose, allowing the garage door to get stuck. Now, if you follow this cable, you'll see that the cable is wound round a pulley. Right, so here's the cable, and if you follow it, you'll see that it terminates, or it gets wound round a pulley. So there's the pulley, and what has happened is, as you can see, this cable has actually come off that pulley, probably climbed over the side, maybe it wasn't tight enough. So now the garage door needs to be realigned and repaired. Right, you'll find it very difficult to just try and wind that pulley and then put this back on that pin because it's under high tension. It's got a very strong spring that actually keeps this cable under tension. So what I recommend you do is you need to get the garage door into the bottom position, basically onto the ground. Right, just showing you the garage door and why you need to align it before trying to move it is you'll find that it's wedged. When one side of the cable comes out, you'll find the garage door tends to lean. So if you look at the gap here, you'll see there's a lot of space here. But as I pan the camera to the top, you'll see it's very tight on the frame or on the tracks of the garage door pathway. So if you have a look here, it's actually very close, and what is happening is it's actually jamming. It's totally stuck. It's totally grating on the wood, so we now need a second person to help me align this door so I can get it down. And while we're here, just having a look at the other side, you can see how it is completely wedged into the track there, and as I angle the camera up, you'll see how much space there is on the top. So look at that. Now that shows me that this whole garage door is actually leaning, and that's why I need a second person now to help me get the garage door onto the ground because it's actually stuck. It's wedged between these two tracks. Now most garage doors come with an emergency release. Make sure you've released it so you're not fighting against the motor. It's now in a manual mode, so now I should be able to just move this garage door, but as I said, it is wedged, so now I have to get someone to help me. Okay, so make sure the cable is loose and not in the way, not stuck on anything. So the cable is now loose, and all we're going to do is try and shift this door so we can get it down. Remember, do not put your fingers in here to pull the door down. You can get your fingers caught here, and this thing's going to close on your fingers. You don't touch anywhere with these moving parts. Okay. So what you're doing is he's pushing that way, and I'm pushing down in this way. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So he's pushing towards me and a little bit up, and I'm pulling down. Okay, go. Right, there we go. Right, so before we start the repair on the left side, you can see how this cable is intact. You can see the pulley there, and just inspecting the spring, you can see the spring is wound. Everything is fine. All that happened is the cable on the left side came undone. Sometimes you'll find that your garage door is broken because the spring snapped or it came undone. Now this spring is very dangerous. Please be very careful. The video has nothing to do with adjusting this spring. Right, so what I need to do is rewind this cable. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to loosen this pulley. So you can see there's some nuts here which can be loosened.
All right, there is a special tool you can get to do this, which creates a distance between you and the pulley, especially if you're trying to rewind that tension spring. It creates a nice distance just in case it snaps or it unravels. Now, something I just want to remind you again is that, can you see I'm working on one pulley? That means the other pulley is maintaining the tension on that long tension spring. So the other pulley is holding that tension spring in place. So therefore, you don't touch the other pulley now. I'm just working on the one that has become loose.
Right, so this pulley can now turn, as you can see. Now it's time to wind up this cable again. Right, so what you want to do is you want to get that cable. There's the cable. Make sure the cable is on the inside. If the cable has come loose, you've got to make sure that you thread the cable correctly. You don't want the cable going over this roller. So make sure the cable is on the inside and thread it. And now you can put it over that pin. So there you can see I've locked it onto that pin, and now I just need to rewind this cable onto that pulley. Right, so I'm threading the cable at the back, and now you'll see that at some point there's a recess to put this in. So I've locked in the head. Start on this very first track over here. And now I turn this and tight tension it. Now it's very important to get someone to help you to align the door, because now, as I said, this has gone very much to the side. So now we have to get the door in alignment. I'm just going to make these finger tight so that this cable doesn't fly off here again. Right, there we go. Now as you can see, the one side of the garage door is actually a bit higher than the other side. So what I've got to do is I've just got to shift the garage door into a position which is equal on both sides. Right, now in order to balance this, we're just going to put a brick on this side so that the door is lifted on this side, then we're going to pull down on the other side. Now we're going to pull down on the right hand side. Right, so because there's a brick here, when we pull down on that side, it allows the door to shift there and down. Okay, so you're pulling down and I'm going to push towards you. Okay, let's go. Right. So the brick is under the door on this side. My colleague is pulling down on the other side, and watch how easy this is. Okay, he's pulling down, and I gently just do that, and as you can see, look at that. I didn't even pry very hard. Okay, let's go again. Keep pulling. Okay, now you got to stay like that the whole time. Right, so having a look now at the alignment, you can see that this door is now straight. So all I need to do is tighten that pulley, wind it up and tighten it. There you see he's pulling, keeping that side under tension so that the door is even. And there's the brick. Now it's time to tighten the pulley. Right, so now what I'm doing is I'm tightening this pulley, winding it up under pressure, and I'll tighten these nuts. Okay, you can let go slowly. Right, so now you can see the cable is immediately under stress as my colleague let go of his side. It's now tensed, and now just going to check that the garage door is in alignment, and we're going to do a trial. Now it's time to test the garage door, not with a motor, but rather with a manual. So now I'm just going to lift it up and down. And we're going to make sure that when we open and close it, it is horizontal during its travel. I know my garage door is not in good shape. Right, let's see. Right, so now what we're doing is we put the garage door right down to the ground, checking that the cables on the left and the right are both still under tension. Yes, they're still under tension. You don't want one cable a little bit loose and one tight. Otherwise it's going to be imbalanced when it pulls up. Now I'm going to lift it up manually again, close it, up, close it, and then I'm going to check each side to see that they're about the same width on each side so that the clearance is about equal. Right, so this is the left-hand side, and you can see how much space there is there. You can see how the door is almost suspended in the horizontal plane. That is a good sign. You can see these rollers. Look at that. It's not leaning to the left, not leaning to the right. It's just suspended. Right, now here on this side, there you can see similar amount. Also, look at that. It's like it's just suspended. Right, now you can put your door back in the automatic mode by pulling on that string. And let's test the operation. Open. Alright, I'm now going to open the door, and I just want to show you the correct position of that cable as it rotates on that pulley. But once you're satisfied with your door's operation, just remember to go and check your work and make sure that things are tight. Just checking, you see there, horizontal, the door is calibrated. Now, just something to be aware of, you don't want this to come off again. Now, if I have a look, when the garage door is fully opened, you can see that this is a bit too loose, and it can climb over the side of the pulley. You can also clear on the ladder and now adjust the pulley if your door is still not straight. Remember, the reason why I did this on the floor is because the door was too heavy for us to lift up, and also it's quite difficult to work overhead. Now, lastly, another setting is the garage door limit switch to do with the motor. Now, it depends on the motor you got, but basically the limit switch determines or at what point the motor stops operating. So if your garage door is opening too much and therefore the cable is coming off the pulley, that could also be a cause for why it is coming off that pulley. You can readjust the limit switch. I'm going to briefly show you how to adjust the limit switch. If you want to see how to install or work on these Centurion, I think they're called C-track doors. I know in other countries they've got different names, but it's the same thing. I'm going to quickly show you, but I do have a detailed video of how to install one of these from scratch. But as I said, this is only if your garage door is opening too much. Now, on this particular one, this is a Centurion, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it back in the manual mode, and I'm just going to release the door a bit, and then I'm going to move this limit switch a little bit more inward so that the motor stops a bit earlier. Just a note about changing this limit switch. My garage door opens quite high, so I can change the limit switch. In your case, you might have to retension the pulley when it's at the top of its travel. So now when I open the door, this won't climb over the side. It will remain slightly tense because I've just changed the limit position of the motor just slightly.